Red Player Media. Because blue and yellow suck.
I love the smell of bacon in the morning.
Welcome to the Keto Convert Podcast, the show that aims to make keto easy to follow, affordable, and doesn't overwhelm you with science. We'll go over tips, hacks, and how to overcome the social stigma that this is just way too hard. I have been converted, and I think you will be too.
Hey everybody, this is your friendly neighborhood Ryno man, your fat-fueled ketogenic host. I'd like to thank all of you for your patience in the fact that I didn't have a show last week. Sometimes life tends to get in the way. For those of you that have kids, have jobs, things like that, sometimes it just gets in the way. But hey, we're back at it now, and hopefully there'll be no more missed episodes. So here we are, episode 10. How do I get started after a cheat? Now, the last episode I talked about exactly ways to cheat, how to go about it in a way that does the least amount of damage. So this week, what do I do after that cheat? But before I get into that, I am doing this without the podcaster Isaiah, so I kind of went out of order. I'm going to do some house cleaning. Remember, blastchamber.com, or I'm sorry, not blastchamber.com, redplayermedia.com. is the home of all things Red Player Media. Remember, you have 3 Guys, 1 Movie on Mondays, Blast Plays on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Blast Chamber Radio, the original, the one that started it all, on Wednesdays, and of course, the Keto Convert Podcast on Fridays. I believe there might be some changes in that either Tuesday or Wednesday on one of those Blast Play days. There might be a new show coming to the format, so make sure and keep up to date with all things Red Player Media related. You can find those at redplayermedia.com, also on the Instagrams, things like that, so make sure to check that out. So, as Dr. Dre would say, back to the lecture at hand. So here we go. How to get started after a cheat. So the best thing to do is, if you cheat, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't get down in the dumps about it. Don't get depressed about it. It is what it is. It happened, right? So it's time to just build a bridge and get over it, okay? And you're going to kind of have to start over from day one, but that's okay. The keto diet is very forgiving. If you've been doing keto for a while, then it's not going to take you that long to get fat adapted again, okay? Just keep in mind, it is kind of a starting over point. You probably noticed the day after you cheated that you almost had what I like to kind of call a ketogenic hangover. You might have a headache a little bit. You're, not to be too graphic, but you're going to the bathroom might be a little bit on the loose side and a little more frequent. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're going through that. That's completely normal. But again, the best way to get over it is just to get right back on the horse, right? Just get right back on keto. And don't let it bother you too bad. You want to be, and this kind of goes back to the episode where we talked about how to get started. So be in as much as a controlled environment as possible so you can control all the variables. Try not to go out to eat for the first week or so. Just, again, so you can keep track of everything. Try to eat meals that you prepare at home or that someone that you trust prepares. That way you can kind of monitor the macro ratio as far as the carbs and fats and proteins. Now, you don't have in the calories, but you don't have to get too much into that. Just make sure that you have as close to 0 carbs as possible. It's really the only thing I want you to count, and high fat. Your cravings, they may come back like you did when you first started. If they did, sometimes it can take 2 weeks to go away. Now, 2 weeks is usually how long it takes to go away whenever you first start keto. But if you've been doing keto for a while and you cheat, then it's not that hard to jump right back on the horse, and you won't have as much cravings for as long. In the first 1 to 2 weeks, avoid as much dairy as possible. Again, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's just a way to kind of make things a little bit easier as far as getting back into keto. But again, if you've been doing keto for a while and you cheated, it shouldn't take that long to get right back into ketosis. If you're someone that really monitors your macronutrients, make sure that you have a 3-to-1 fat ratio, fat to protein. So for every 1 gram of for every 1 gram of protein you eat, you need to eat 3 grams of fat, and you need to do that for a minimum of a week, and that will help you bounce right back. Another thing you really need to pay attention to is drink water. Drink tons and tons of water, because you're kind of having to start over again. And as you remember, 1 gram of carb holds up to 3 grams of water, so you're fixing to start flushing water again. And when you flush out water, you're also flushing out electrolytes. So make sure that if you have a electrolyte supplement that you're taking that. If not, add some sea salt, some pink Himalayan sea salt or some regular sea salt to your food, and maybe even a little bit into your water. Not enough that it makes it taste like you're drinking water out of the ocean, but just enough to get your electrolytes back. If you are someone that works out, lifts weights, things like that, go easy for the first week back into it. Don't let the week after a cheat be your PR setting week, where you're trying to max out on your squat or deadlift or bench. Don't let that be your goal that week, because you might be a little off. If you're an endurance athlete or you enjoy things in endurance or marathons and things like that, I'd recommend doing a marathon before you cheat, because that might throw you off a little bit. Originally, we said it usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get in ketosis for the first time, but it shouldn't take this long if you're someone that's been doing keto for a while. If you did keto for a couple weeks and you cheated, then you're basically starting the whole process over. But if you were someone that was doing keto for a month or a few months, then it's not going to take the whole 6 weeks again. And again, just the longer you do it, try to just push through and do it longer and longer each time between cheats. That's what I did, and that really helped me a lot. I went through about 3 months with no cheating. It seems kind of difficult to say 3 months, but 3 months is really not that much in the great scheme of things, and it's really not that hard to do once you get past the first few weeks. It's kind of just a mental thing. Make sure that you just keep your fat high. And again, I'm going to go over just a couple things real quick. Once your body gets fat adapted, which could take about 6 weeks for sure. Once it gets adapted, then what has happened is your body's going to use ketones for brain energy, fat for muscle fuel, and glycogen for your organs. Ryan, how am I going to have glycogen when sugar, whether it's table sugar or potatoes and starches and rice and carbs, turn into glycogen? Well, your body's kind of a cool thing in that it will, even in the absence of glycogen, it will produce it on its own. Now, this is not a place where we're going to inundate you with science, so if you want to figure out exactly how that process takes place, then you'll need to Google it or go to another podcast, because I'm not really going to get into all that. I'm just letting you know that your body will do that. It naturally creates glycogen on its own when and if it's necessary. So again, people say, well, you have to have glycogen for certain organs, and that's true, but your body will take care of creating it on its own. Not sure if we talked about it before, but just a little food tip. There's different things you can get if you absolutely must have some sort of bread. There's different recipes out there on the YouTubes and on the internet, the World Wide Web, all that. It's called cloud bread. Some people say it's pretty good. I've had it once. It kind of tasted a little different. It's kind of got the consistency of angel food cake. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Or you can go to Walmart. If you live in a place where there is a Walmart, you can go to Walmart and you can get what is called Joseph flax bread. Joseph flax bread. They either have it in a big rectangle, which works really, really good for if you wanted to make a keto pizza. You just put it in there until it starts to brown. Then you put some butter and some garlic salt on it. You put a little cheese on there, some pepperonis if you want it, bacon, meat, whatever, loaded up with meats, fats, good stuff. And then you cook it till the cheese starts to melt. That's really good, like your own little thin crust pizza. And also, they also have a pita bread, which the pita bread, it technically is pita bread, but it doesn't really work well for pita bread. It's not real hearty. Like if you start to open the pita, it will tear. So a lot of times what I do is I like to use that as a tortilla. If I make a bunch of hamburger meat, like taco meat, stuff like that, and I use that as a burrito, basically. Or if you want to make a wrap or something like that, I take them a lot of times instead of bread for sandwiches in my lunch, things like that. So there's some ideas there. This is going to be kind of a short podcast, but back in the vein of the last time that we did this, I want to add in just a real quick motivational minute. So back to what I was talking about the last time on episode 9, called Living the 4 Agreements. This is number 2. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to their opinions and actions and the actions of others, you won't be a victim to needless suffering. Now, I know this may sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, or, when you were a kid, sticks and stones may break my bones. But you know what? If you really focus on this and don't take it personally, it makes things a whole lot easier. For years and years, I had a hard time with taking things personally. And now that I have kids and I see them dealing with it, things that, this person said at school or that person said at school, or my friend doesn't like me anymore, and so on and so forth. I have to kind of take my own advice on this. And basically what this says is anything other people do, you can't control it. The things they say, if they say something bad to you or whatever, chances are in most cases, and I didn't really see this as a kid, but now kind of knowing the situation of some of the kids my kids go to school with, and some things that I've heard here and there. Some of these kids, they don't have a good home life. They don't have parents that pay attention to them. Some of these kids, and I just don't understand this. It just doesn't make sense to me. But some kids seem to be an afterthought to their parents. To me, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't compute. And so those kids are lashing out. Those kids are saying things because they just want attention, or they need something from somebody, So anyway, I don't want to get all psychological on you, but that's a big thing right there. I'm going to read it again. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So, thanks for listening. I know it was short again. I hope to be back in studio with the podcaster by the next episode. If so, that would be really good, because I really enjoy doing podcasts with the podcaster instead of doing it by myself. So, for those of you that took the time to listen, thank you for listening. I hope you learned something. May your days be fueled with fat. Before I go, I need to give a shout out to Joan in payroll and Raul and the boys down in maintenance, who every Christmas always make a great feast. We'll see you next time.